Welcome to the grim, lawless 23rd century, following the fall of U.S. Gov and mass depopulation of major cities at the hands of the multi-trillionaire de Huberton family. Baptized in radioactive hellfire, a rare mutation makes Turbo a fiercely pumped scrapper, haunted by specters from her past, surviving the post-apocalyptic wasteland one deathmatch pit fight at a time. But when she rescues the stunning trophy girl, the unlikely duo are thrust into a harrowing odyssey, evading marauding berserkers at every turn on their way to the ultimate showdown as they uncover the horrific truth behind the fall of humanity. Jake Jacobs, writer and penciler, and Kurt Brugel, co-writer and inker, are thrilled to announce the release of the first Turbo teaser, a significant milestone in the indie comic book industry. Jake and Kurt are the first and only duo to create a comic book live on air in a split-screen podcast. But that's not all. Recognizing the challenges and triumphs of indie comic creators, Kurt and Jake have another recurring segment of their podcast spotlighting other indie comic creators who share their stories, discuss their creative process, offer insights into audience building, and ponder the future of comics.
Hey, Jake, what's going on?
Good morning. It's the weekend, and that means it's time for another edition of
Turbo Pit Fighter.
the making of. So
The making
right
of.
right off the top, I have a note here to tell you. Did you see that graphic I sent you with the word "making" in fancy letters?
Well, that was going to be the first thing I was going to bring up. So yes, tomorrow or Monday, when I edit this video, I'm going to edit that making font graphic in, as well as I'm gonna, the bottom down here, you can see our names, and then there's a Turbo logo in the middle. I'm going to make something for that as well. So yeah, that'll add to our beefing up definitely the intro and some of the supporting graphics. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I was thinking that instead of and maybe on some of our other links and our other promotional things, instead of saying the making of Turbo Pit Fighter, maybe we just want to call it Making Turbo Pit Fighter.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
And yeah, I mean, I like it, the making of Turbo Pit Fighter in some places, but maybe or because you remember how the title for comics that influence kind of developed. It was just like, I don't know, like we had some other name for it, and then you just started saying comics that influence as a short, compact title, and I was like, oh, that's great,
Right.
let's do that.
Right.
So yeah, the same thing. So when I see the intro that we have now, I really think that it's calling out for more editing, and I'll tell you what I would like to do. If I can get some time, I would like to make an animated sequence that's, even if it's only like a couple of seconds long,
Sure.
to replace the visuals. I think I still think it's a little long. I like how it starts out, but I think when it gets into a couple sentences that I think we should trim, and then just for the intro, we could use that stuff like on other things, and then I think we should try to match up the visual, so where it says like Turbo is a scrapper and everything, that's when we should show the picture of Turbo, because we show it like a few moments later. So I think we could, line those things up and be more intentional about it. But I'd also like to replace the graphics, because, I saw what you did. It's like you're just like filming the pages of the teaser in different angles,
Right.
and then you put on the 3D filter. Right, that's great for like a placeholder, but let's put some stuff in there eventually.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that was the whole idea. I mean, that's our thing is, we have limited amounts of time, but as you said, the placeholder is really what I wanted to get. And then obviously it causes us to have this conversation about something that's already there, where we can then just upgrade it instead of every week talking about, well, when are we going to do the new intro? Well, I'm not, it's just,
Yeah.
I'm always a guy that's after like getting it. Just get something up, get the
Yeah.
feedback and then go on.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a great idea to do, and then have just a work in progress as we improve it. But if you want to, like, I think you got those like stock photos of like mushroom clouds and stuff.
Yeah.
I think yeah, those are great. I think if you break up the kind of 3D placeholder graphics you have a little more in the current edit, just like with some royalty free stock images of devastation and destruction. I think it really sets the mood. And then when people finally hear us, we're just like two schlubs talking as we draw, but it feels like it's getting you into the story. It feels like it's getting you into
Oh,
the turbo
yeah,
story.
it's giving people a taste of not only Turbo, what we're working on, but who we are in what it is that we're doing. The
Yeah.
reality is we do this once a week on Sundays, about 10 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time to like 1 or 2 o'clock. And we get a lot accomplished. And then there's things throughout the week that if we have a couple minutes here and there, we always contribute to it. But really, this channel is for that reason, documenting our journey, but it's also to get other people inspired. And I know for a fact that you and I've heard this from other people making comics, is the idea gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The punch list gets even bigger and bigger and bigger. You got too many decisions to make. And the next thing you know you've paralyzed yourself and you don't get anything done. So, my motto has always been, pick something on the list, make something, get it up, and cross it off, then move on. And when you get the feedback, listen to it wholeheartedly, and then make some adjustments. But it's got to get on a list, that kind of thing. So I
Yeah.
thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, man. Um, so what else? Oh, so I have a couple of things on the rundown. I don't know how much we'll have time to get to, um, but I wanted to do a little show and tell segment. So this is where we play our show and tell theme song. Um, so this is I went out. I'm digging through a bunch of stuff, and I'm putting a bunch of stuff on eBay. So I came across this old poster that I made for a band when I was back in college. I was in a 2-year college. I went to a 2-year college for 3 years. Um, and there was a guy there who was in a band called the New York Citizens, and he asked me to make a design for his record cover. And I had only ever had a black and white poster version of it, but I actually did color separated ruby lith, spot color separations for the printing process, and I had never seen the record before. So here it
Wow.
is, and
That's your
I went,
graphic?
yeah,
That's your graphic?
I went out and ordered this on Discogs, which is a site for rare records. This record sells for $30 now. This is a ska band that was from New York City and Brooklyn back in let's see, 88, I think. And I happened to go to college with this guy who did not play an instrument. He was part of the band. They they call this guy Chris Kid Coconuts,
All
and
right.
he would sometimes take out some coconuts and play them, but he would do that like for his band and other bands. Um, Ironically, they have a song called "Nuff Said." How's that? But
Whoa.
I still haven't listened to the whole record, but I went on YouTube and I listened to some of their stuff, And it sounds like a pretty good band. They opened for No Doubt before No Doubt was anybody. They opened for the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. I think they said No Doubt opened for them actually. Um, and here it says real small front cover Jake. So I had never seen this, and this is going back decades into my early evolution as a graphic artist. So I just wanted to share that because I just got this in the mail, and I'm going to add this to my record collection. This is a very special record to me. I kind of hate the design. The guy told me like to do kind of like a My Three Sons thing, but to represent everybody in the band and like show their shoes. But and this is like press on type. This is like a big blank gap of space, so I wouldn't do that again today. But I had to use their existing logo, and then I used press on letters for this, and then I did the
Pretty
rest
tight,
using.
man. It's pretty
Yeah,
tight.
I used the. You ever seen those drafting tools where it's like a little it feels like a compass, but you're actually like sucking up ink between the two pieces,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
get
I
like
forget
a
what that's
thick,
called.
and you're like really like scratching a big groove into the paper, and then
Yeah.
like the ink just comes in so uniform and thick. So I use that, and then you gotta wait for that to dry, and then I cut. That gives you a good outline for trapping. So now I can put that away. um, we're gonna do the last installment here, I guess, of my Poughkeepsie haul, and I've watched back those other ones. It's pretty exciting stuff. Um,
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you've got for comics that influence.
Definitely. And I did, I was looking for some references because right now I'm doing a scene where some soldiers are in battle. And I was just trying to say, wow, do I have any good references for that? And then, just like you say, like I got completely waylaid and just started reading stuff. But I opened up the Boston Bombers comics that I went over in the last episode. And the insides were definitely not as good as the cover. All right, tell you what we'll do. I'll split this in half just to save some time today because we're kind of loaded up on rundown items. Let's just do this part, and I'll save some for another episode. What is this? So we got Lenny X, the Omar Files,
Wow.
Bloodseekers, Sterling Clark, Jeff. What the hell is that? This looks
Wow.
Kirby-ish. You cannot escape Kirbyism. Yeah, this looks weird. There's no cover here, so I can look inside. It's a wraparound cover, and
What year is it?
doesn't say on the cover. It's 1993. And they have a little blurb written by John Romita Jr. The best thing about watching an artist on the way up is watching his talent grow and watching him before his ego gets too big. It won't happen with Sterling, the ego part that is. He's a comer, and if he takes any work from me in the future, I'll send my Uncle Guido after him. Watch this guy. All right. So this is Bloodseekers file, the Omar Files, Lenny X, Bloodseekers by Sterling Clark and Jeff Austin. A studio production. It's Magnacom is the name of the printing. Is the name of the what? All right. So the comic is called Omar Lennox #1 Bloodseekers, and the company is Magnacom, who I've never heard of. I don't know what else they put out, but they're plugging Renegade, so that I guess they had other stuff coming out with an introduction by Todd McFarlane. I don't know. It looks interesting. This is something. Is it a power comic or is it a lost comic on the highway? Here's 1, 2, 3, 4 issues of Wolfskin.
That's a
I
pretty good
bought.
comic. That's a pretty good
Yeah,
comic.
I had an issue of this, and so I'm going back for more because the price is right. These are, I think, just 2 for $1. And this put up by Avatar, and which a company that seems pretty interesting. here I can get a lot of great references, for battle stuff. Except this is set in like the sword and sorcery times.
Yeah,
But
Vikings.
yeah, this is the story is Warren Ellis. The artwork is Gianluca Pagliarini, and the inks by Chris Dreyer. And they look like they have a good team here. This is
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
detailed, very sharp, very precise
And the
graphic.
coloring is not that bad. It's just,
Yeah,
I just wish it got a little darker where it really should have. It just kind of plays like a medium range of, handful of colors here and here, which is decent. So I think I have all of them
yeah,
that
this
when
is
they came out.
right. And this is a warning. We always caution people that you know digital coloring, it's sometimes too colorful, so you should limit your palette. But you also run the risk of making everything just seem, kind of muted, right? These pages, you kind of get lost in a sea of this one color that's reused and reused and reused and reused. And you can use a palette and you can use tints and shades of a limited palette with and still make it look dynamic just without making it look like rainbows. But I read I whatever issue I got of this, I got into it. I actually got into the story. So this is issue 6. Oh, cripes! You know what I fell for? I bought alternative covers. This is the same issue. I got
You
the
can send it
paint.
to me.
Well, you know what's funny? This is issue 6, and this is the regular cover, and then this is the painted cover. Which isn't a bad painting, but the I noticed the cover stock feels a little different on the painted cover. Is that a thing? I don't know if it's me. Um, anyway, yeah, Wolfskin. Maybe we'll go over it if I sit down and read all these. But I have issue 5, issue 6, issue 3, and then one other issue somewhere else in my collection. So maybe I'll do a comics that influence on that because they seem like they have a good team. They have a good story because the story definitely sucked me in, and and Avatar seems like a pretty good company. I know they put out a bunch of Tim Vigil stuff at some point. Next, I bought a run of Black Science, and this is issue 5, 4, 7, and 8. And this is something I showed in the last stack, but I put it with the others so it can be back with its family here. Look at this. You don't see this too often. Nothing on the back cover. This is just a cop out on the back cover. Why are they doing that?
Trying to get that imprint, that logo imprint on you.
Really? Well,
I guess I don't know.
I usually shy away from Image Comics. That isn't to say they aren't putting out some good stuff. They do have a pretty basic, like a pretty good baseline quality level too. So Image Comics that are coming out today in the 2020s are never going to be that bad. But there's also something about the Image Comics that they're putting out that just seem, I don't know, mediocre to me. It doesn't grab me as a fan of, classic Marvels and indie comics, all the stuff that they put out. And so maybe I don't give them a fair enough try. I guess it depends on the creator. But usually when I grab some Image Comics and look through them, I'm just like, eh.
Well, it was like Dan. It was like Dan saying in the interview we had with him. He hosts the Rave Sensation, and he had gone to Baltimore Comic Con and SPX. And when he said it, it kind of was a little shocking to me. But he says there's a lot of talent out there, a lot of
Yeah,
talent out there than there used to be. The problem is a lot of it's not speaking to guys like us.
yeah,
And it's
right. And
that's just the way it is.
you can't argue with success, right? Like these guys,
No, you can't. No, you
one
can't.
way or the other, they got to at least issue number 8, so you can't argue with success. It seems like they have, an intricate storyline here, and this art is like a style. It's kind of like a scratchy style. It's a little cartoony here and there. I hate this because it's scribble. I always say no scribble. Points off for scribble. There's scribbling here. But maybe I'll sit down and read that and get into it. I have the problem that something they mentioned on Cartoons Kayfabe, where my to read pile is just growing and growing and growing instead of ever going down.
Yep.
So I guess that's a good problem. Um, Here's a couple of Dragon Forces, and I have more than this because this is number 2 and number 4. This is put out by Aircell, so that's the kind of
So
that's
good.
the yeah, this is the kind of indie comic company that I like, right? Like the
Oh
stuff that they
man,
put out, it was
that
it was of
is.
it was of an era. The
Oh,
art looks pretty good here. This looks very John Byrne inspired, and it says X Eon or Keon maybe. So that's yeah. Oh no, Xeown. Maybe that's supposed to be a K. Oh, Keon. This is the Keon guy. I've seen his name around. I also bought a copy of Dragon Force that had a Tim Vigil cover, and I think that was number 1. But here's number 2 and 4, which I have to reunite with the other copy I got. I mean, when you see these cheap, this is such a no-brainer. And here's some ads for some other stuff. Samurai
yeah,
and
that's Dale Keown too.
yeah, and
Yeah,
and
that's
the original.
1988 right there. That is some solid air cell right there. Man,
So
look
I
at that
yeah
Dragon Force like tight. Oh gosh.
yeah the chrome effect. That's my
Oh,
specialty. I
that
I,
is
uh, I do
sweet.
a version. I definitely do a version of the chrome thing with my students. But this is not only chrome; it's 3D, and perspective. It's got
Yeah.
a lot going on.
Sweet.
So so maybe so
Sweet.
so Dragon Force. If I collect all the copies that I have, I'll probably do
Yeah, there
a
should be four. I think there's four of them.
yeah, but they look like they kept changing artists, so that's weird. It might be the baby of a writer who just got all
Mm-hmm.
these different artists, including Keon and Vigil. All right, here we're into some Paul Galassi, and this is I got a run of magazines, and as you can see here, some of them are coverless, which is why I got them so cheap. And I'm always up for a reader's copy, especially the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, because there's going to be some Shang Chi in there, and there's going to be probably some Filipino artists like Rudy Nebres, um,
Yeah.
and there's actually some good stuff in there. And it's good to get. Like this red dot means it was 2 for $1, so I'm grabbing all these. But let's look at Bizarre Adventures. Do you know Bizarre Adventures too much?
Yes. Yes.
You
I
do.
just bought one a couple months ago that had a what was it? Tiger Man in it. Tiger Man story.
Oh, you mean the White Tiger?
No, it's
Tiger Man
I
was
don't have it here.
Atlas.
Exactly. And then this was another just not associated. It was just a story about a tiger man. It was like Tiger Man and the Flesh Peddlers or something. It was like
Ooh.
some guy that ended up being
Oh,
becoming a vigilante for those who had become involved in the porn industry.
really? So it was a
Yeah.
one off with using the same name as an Atlas comic, Tiger Man.
Yep. Yep. And
I
I
might
have the Atlas comics too.
save this. But this is great. It's issue number 25. So Bizarre Adventures could have been anything. By the time it was number 1, it might have been more like a creepy or whatever. But by the time they get to number 25, they're showing, and this is March of 19. Where am I looking here? This is March of 19. Where's the year? Hello? Oh, 1981. Late in the game. I'm usually not an 80s guy. Um, so this is by 81. This is all the big names of Marvel: Chris Claremont, Michael Golden, Terry Austin, Marshall Rogers coming over from DC, Bob McLeod, um, Ralph Macchio. and Paul Galassi. That's not the Ralph Macchio of Hollywood,
Karate
right?
Kid. Karate Kid. No, I
No,
think
that's
he
not
actually
okay.
says it. He says it as Macchio.
Macchio. Okay, yeah. Imagine having the misfortune of having the name Ralph Macchio. But if I was a comic book writer, I would put in a middle initial to avoid confusion. Um, so yeah, Daughters of the Dragon is kind of like the
I,
spin-off. This is a spin-off of Iron Fist comics, where it's
yeah,
Misty
but
Knight
that's a
and
really good comic. That's a good story. I have all of those issues too because that's the end. There's two of them in Masters of Kung Fu,
is this the
and
one? Is this the one where they get the woman addicted to heroin
yeah,
and
yeah,
there's or there's
yeah,
allude right, this is it right here.
yeah. Well, I don't. It might be the.
It's the storyline. It's somewhere in the
I
storyline.
believe. Yeah, 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 yeah. And
So they were able to do stuff in the magazines. That's why I
correct.
always pick these up that they couldn't get away with in comics. And I remember the Red Sonja origin issue being like that, and I remember this issue being like that, where the Daughters of the Dragon, Iron Fist was nowhere to save them. Misty Knight, Colleen Wing, and I forget who the other one is.
Yeah, it's
These are
great.
characters taken
It's
from
great.
Chris Claremont's Iron Fist
Yeah,
run,
yeah,
and if Michael Golden and Terry Austin are doing the art, I mean, what the hell? This is incredible stuff. It's just not in
yeah.
color.
It's hard to beat,
This is
and
like
that's fine. Don't color
if
it. Don't
right
nobody
if
color it,
Marvel
please.
was making black and white indies. So here, just to finish this out, here we're going back a couple years. These are all from 75, 75, 75, 75. And if people don't know Rudy Nebres, he deserves an episode. He's one of
Heck
the
yeah.
Filipino guys, but he has we've spoken about him before. He has such a
I sat next to
style.
him at a comic show, the first comic show that I did in 2015. Get myself back into the game. Sat next to him. My lord, that was just yeah. I got a nice print, like a barbarian print from him, and he is
So the
absolutely one of the best.
yeah, so this is number 13. This is number 15, and this is number 12. Um, and just so people know, it was common practice back then to rip off the covers, and um, the comic companies, or this was like a newsstand thing. Like the comic companies couldn't rip off the
You
covers,
got
but if
credit. You got credit back from the distributor.
yeah, if you hand the covers back to the distributor, you get paid for returns that are unsold, and so the retailer doesn't get penalized. Unlike a comic book company, where as soon as you buy it wholesale, you
It's
own it.
yours.
Yeah, and so there's something to be said for that kind of distribution model, where the risk is borne by the publisher. What do you think about that, Kurt? If we
That would be really hard to do a business model like that nowadays.
Well, the reason they could do it in those days is because you send out a truck, and since you have the truck there, you could always just take back the old stuff. But because it was made on such cheap paper and Marvel didn't sell back issues, they said, well, just keep it or throw it out. I know you can't sell it without a cover, but maybe you give it to your friends or something.
Well, they
Wow,
were
that's a rude.
supposed to throw. They were supposed to throw it away. That was the agreement. They were
Yeah,
not.
but
They
we've
were
already
not to keep
we've
it.
already heard we've already heard stories of a daughter of a guy that had a shop that used to read all the coverless comics and collected all the coverless comics because her dad owned a shop. You know, so they didn't always get thrown away. Maybe
No,
they
of course not.
maybe they would throw out the volume, but they would just keep a couple here and there. So here's the Sons of the Tiger. I remember that. And excuse me, this is George Perez and the Tribe, meaning many hands. They had this whole editorial division where they're covering Roger Moore movies and 007, and because he's doing some martial arts. But this is Shang-Chi. This is great stuff, and I'd love to know his process. I don't even know if this is inks. This might have been like a very, very tight pencil process. Crazy, right? So, just opening one of those. All right, so we'll get into the rest at some point. But now I'm actually collecting coverless magazines. How about that? So, your turn, Kurt. What else you got on the rundown?
I just wanted to go ahead and show off some of the pages ink-wise because we are getting the next 6 done, completed for the next Turbo teaser, which I woke up to a order today. So we are selling these here Turbo teasers, which is the first 6 pages. They're bagged and boarded. If you're a creator and you would like a copy, you can send us a copy of one of your comics or zines, and then we'll even try to get you to come on to this here podcast and talk comics. But where I'm at right now is I've got 7 through, what is it, 12? Yeah, 12. And I just wanted to do a real quick sneaky peeky to get people all teased up for the next teaser. So, which
Yeah,
I'm
when we left off, Turbo was going downstairs to talk to the proprietor of the establishment, and then this would be the panel directly after that, where we shoot scenes of the pit fight going on. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, and this will be a really nice kind of page 1 splash for that. Before I forget, though, I know you have a turbo pinup you had been working on, which we're going to use, I'm assuming, for the next cover, which means I'm going to need a scan of it so I can actually add that to my inking. So I'll send you a text. And
Oh yeah,
tell you
it's
about
not
that.
finished and it's only in pencil, so yeah,
Right.
we'll have to work on that.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
what I'm thinking is that this today is the 7th of October, and I have a feeling we will be coming around the corner at the end of this month, and really seriously gearing up to getting Turbo Pit Fighter teaser number 2.
Teaser
Um,
2. Turbo
teaser
teaser
2
2.
going. Turbo
Yeah.
teaser 2. So page 7, give you there. I just actually spent the time talking with you the beginning. I just did an 11 by 17 printout of this page, and I just wanted to see. I'm not using all of these darks, but I wanted to just get my darks a bit richer and
Yeah.
spotted.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of just mucked it up with one of my little brushy pens, so it'll help me kind of make some decisions when I get back to this page.
Right.
Page 8, we added that Duke posters in there, which is on the wall, which is one of our
Yeah.
Easter egg characters. I'm probably going to have to do when I'm thinking of doing some kind of black spotting over here or something. But these pages are coming along. Um, of course, we've got more of the fight scenes. This here dart that helps the tide of outcome in the pit
Yep.
fight between the samurai chieftain and what was this guy's name again?
Torozar.
Torzar. Obviously, and get that. And then it gets all the people enraged, but the RM are there and they have uncloaked themselves and now are going to be assailing upon the good people of the
I
pit
don't know
fight.
if
And
those
of
if those
course,
are RM. Do we
yeah, we actually had a conversation.
did we state that those are RM?
No. I'm kind of just putting a placeholder there because I
Yeah,
don't
the
know.
RM is they're a military force that is they I don't know if they traffic in trophy girls and they go to pit fights. I think
Mhm.
this is a different kind of
Just
military
another
force.
military fraction.
Yeah, right. This could be freebooters.
Right, right.
Right. I mean, we will have to get back to who these people are. So
Exactly.
it's a very interesting
And when
footnote
we get to the
or
text, when we get to
or
putting in the
side note.
text, we might be actually putting in some extra, maybe a text block, an extra text block to give us a footer noter.
Right. I mean, it doesn't matter at the moment. It just it only
No,
matters that
no,
they're killing everybody, but
yeah, yeah,
and they're trying to make off with the radioactive currency. So they're
yeah.
um but they are connected to the one pit fighter, right? In the rigging, because
Right.
if the dart hadn't been discovered, they would have just gotten away with it, I guess.
Yep.
Except, Turbo goes downstairs and finds out that they had already slaughtered the proprietor. So, because the proprietor, of course, would find out that he was drugged. Um, that one guy's nose looks a little bright and shiny. It looks a little bit like ununiform. The guy that finds the dart. In that
Oh
in
yeah,
that
too much. There's this one right here.
yeah, it just looks like a
Yeah,
little out of the
we
rest, but.
are. We're definitely gonna do. We'll print up mock-ups. We'll go page by page because we also have to improve upon our text adding.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to spend another month and a half, 3-hour episodes a
No,
week.
we're gonna. We're definitely
We're
gonna.
gonna streamline it. But we'll
We're
go
gonna
through.
streamline that.
You'll be able to give some feedback. I'll be able to listen to it, and we'll
I
tighten
think.
things up.
I think one of our bottlenecks. If you go back to those episodes where we were doing that on QuarkXPress on my white laptop, I think
Yeah.
one of the bottlenecks is just trying to figure out exactly what to say, because we're trying to make it as short as possible in a lot of cases.
And
And
update some of the language because it was written in 1999, 2000. So,
yeah. So you know what?
uh,
Let's start penciling in the next episode. Let's grab the dialogue as you're finishing it. So we have like a couple more weeks head start on that.
okay.
You know what I'm saying?
All right. All
Because
right. Yeah.
if we need to sort out like, oh, all right, let's not say this, let's say that, or if we need to sort out, oh, we need to pull a couple words out here. Let's do it at this stage so that when it comes time to Quark, we're literally just typing.
Yep. Yep. All right.
Yeah.
So,
So we
page 10, they're trying to make off with Trophy Girl, too. People are getting mowed down. Um, and then,
and and just so you know, we definitely 100%. I've decided have to have a version of this comic that is suitable for other ages. So I'm gonna give you we just have to cover up those
Well,
tatas, and I'm gonna give you overlays of a raggy.
okay. That's
She'll
fine.
wear the raggy little top that's barely just held together,
Right, right,
but
right.
this way they so I don't have to hear like oh, New York City art teacher is putting out some kind of
Pornography.
subversive. I know it when I see it.
I know it when I see pornography.
But just so you know,
But
right, but just so you know, we did conceive of Turbo as as a heavy metal type of
oh,
story.
hands when heavy metal was heavy.
Right, and I happen to have one right.
Hey, there's original heavy metal and a Dave
What?
Gorman on the cover.
Watch this. This is 1994, And I was flipping through this with my, I told you I was on the phone with my daughter last night on FaceTime because she wanted me to like hang out with her on the phone. So I'm flipping through this yesterday, and I couldn't believe how adult this was. 1994 heavy metal, right? Look at this. We're just like seeing these great European artists, but
Oh,
then you get
Jesus.
to, this story's not so bad. And then you get to look. This is the King Kong stuff, all right. And where is it? You get to this, and then you definitely got some stuff going on here. Look at that. Where'd she lose her top in the middle of in the middle of an adventure? What happened there? And this one's weird. This is kind of like a Japanese hentai fantasy. There's these ruffians on this train, and there's this lady, and there's like this fantasy sequence. I don't know what's flashback and what's going on. So there's definitely some stuff going on here. Then you get to, is this literally Manara right here? I think this is literally Manara right here. Little
Yeah.
Ego, right? Which is a takeoff on
Yeah.
Little Nemo.
Yeah.
And so that's going on. I can't even show that. And then you get some cartoony stuff here, but I'm flipping through this, my daughter online. I'm like, geez, I can't even show this. Look at this. Is this Crepa? Guido Crepa? Look at this. She's taking everything off. And
no.
yeah, this is just prurient, content here. What's going on?
Yeah.
Then we get here to the back to the continuation of this color story, and I don't know. This isn't so bad, but I was just like, wow. It seemed like they were really putting out some stuff. This is like a whole King Kong story, um, and you get to some parts. I don't think heavy metal's doing that these days, right? As much.
Yeah, I don't even know. I've just heard they're very maybe woke is the term. So maybe they're trying to
Mm,
backpedal
well,
and move
sanitized.
into other direction. Yeah, sanitize is probably a better way now of putting it. But I mean, a lot of people, um, there's I guess a sense of embarrassment that comes along with you know purveying
Not in
that,
Europe.
or I don't know. I don't
Come
know.
on,
No,
this is
you're
stuff
but we've talked
we're
about,
bringing.
but
We're
that's
bringing stuff over from Europe with the whole idea
well,
that they're
that's exactly what I was going to say. So it's almost like maybe one of the things that has happened with the new leadership at heavy metal is
or
that
lack
they're no
thereof.
longer depending on Europe to inform them. They're relying on the states, and of course, then people in the states are not
Yeah,
too
they
keen
had
on
heavy
the
metal
gratuitous sex
comics.
and violence.
They had a comic line which is separate from the magazine, and
Mm.
so then they started putting out some stuff. And I showed you a copy of what was her name. Well, we had a copy here. Remember, I went over. It was Tarna, and
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
put out by Heavy Metal Cars. So they had a
But
whole
that was way.
line.
That was way. I think that was a bit of time ago, though. I mean, we're talking. I think the new ownership is only like a couple years in.
Yeah, well, they recently changed hands again. I think they're in limbo right now
Oh yeah.
because
Oh
yeah, I
wow.
spoke to my local shop owner up here. There in Nyack, there's a comic store called Funny Business, and the guy's going out actually at the end of this month. So I got to go over there. He says he's doing
Oh, he's
50%
done.
off. Yeah, he says he's doing
He's done.
50% off. Yeah, yeah.
Whoa, whoa.
I know. I got to get over there because he has a box of two for a buck, and I don't think those are 50% off, but all of his back issues are 50% off. So I'm gonna get down there and see what I can scap. Um, and he says that he stopped ordering from heavy metal, that they stiffed everybody, and that
Ooh.
and they're probably gonna make good on it once they reorganize and everything. But there's some kind of backlog, and they've we spoke about this, that they really pissed off retailers and end users alike, such that there's a boycott out there now, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and so the I think the articles, like was it Bleeding Cool or some other, comic journal thing, was that
Oh yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
they're gonna have to change hands again, like immediately. Otherwise, their
Well, maybe
future
it's
looks
the
very
end.
bleak.
Maybe it's
Or it
the
could be
end.
the end. Yeah,
You know
this is the end.
why?
So,
Because the thing is that you can do the same, publication. You just don't have to call it heavy metal. I think people are still trying to pull that as the
oh,
weight
the
that it
name is
has. But
everything.
if you're not delivering on the name, then screw you.
Well, the
I don't
name
want
is
anything to
everything
do
at
with
this point. I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
they
but that's a brand. That's a brand of you know all the issues I bought until I don't know end of '90s. They delivered. A delivered. They delivered. They delivered. And then all of a sudden they stopped delivering. And there were only 6 times a year back then, so you had to like wait 2 months to get a hold. So I mean, and it was worth the wait.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well,
anyhow,
remains to be
the
seen.
we're coming to our 45-minute mark. We're at that bite size um, um,
Yep. Let's
timing.
sign up.
We have one last page to show off, which would be the last page of the Turbo Teaser 2, and this is where we get even more fight going down with Turbo and these Marauders and them
Yeah.
taking
Do you have
trophy.
another Is that where you're up to with the with that page?
Yeah, that's my first pass. It's just first
So
pass.
yeah, so I just want to caution you because this is an example where we go to very very thin panels, and I also have very, if you notice, just as a style, we have also very thin border separators between panels, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I would caution against going too heavy on the medium tones. Nothing wrong with dark tones and doing that subliminal layer, of pointing,
Mm-hmm.
this point to that, that point to that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think because the panels are so thin, it could get very visually confusing. I kind of like the way it looks there on the lighter side. So
There.
just keep that in mind. Yeah,
Okay.
like what I might do is go darker on the backgrounds than you do on the foregrounds, and not so much in the foreground characters. This way they pop out, a little bit better.
Right.
And
Well, we'll get
what
to that. We'll get to that conversation when we get to it.
is something weird with her tricep on that last panel?
That's because the word balloon. Yeah, I saw that too.
Oh,
And
that the word balloon is shaped weird.
the word balloon
Okay,
has this weird little. So I might end up just having to cut that over, like so.
right, exactly.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, we have time. We're going to be getting there. But other than that, as I just want to say, um, we got Turbo Teaser. And we have the Indie Comic Exchange. Next week, we will be interviewing a gentleman by the name of Gotham. This is
Mm-hmm.
his fanzine, Ashcan, excuse me.
Right.
And so we're going to have him on and we're going to talk to him. And then the week after that, this is Jason Schoonover, who has some amazing pen and ink stuff. So he's got some little mini
That looks
comics in
like
here, some stickers.
almost like
So
woodblock kind of style.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We're just getting people. I've been reaching out to a lot of people, like I've said before. People are busy out there. I understand. If we lose connection, then just go ahead and reconnect when you can. We'll get this going because we're all about building a community. That's really one of the major things Jake and I are really
We
all about
say it every
on
time.
top of just us documenting our process and progress with Turbo Teaser. But other than that, Jake, that's all I got. You got anything else for these good people?
No, we say it every time. We have comics that influence, and then we have the comic creator exchange, and we have making Turbo Pit Fighters. So those are our three channels or three series. So go ahead and check out our back episodes and join us next time.
Cool. I will see you next week.
I will.